Fergus, it's great talking to you. It's been a while since you and I have had a chat, but even though you and I haven't talked in a long time, man, when it comes to the music by Sattalites, it just still resonates after 30, plus years, I guess? Man, you guys have, is it 30 years?
Let's lean on the plus side. So I guess it's like 40 years since I met Mr. Bennett. So
there you go.
When I first met him, yeah.
Did you ever think though that when you guys first got together, that your music would resonate, that you would set a trend, that you would open up doors the way you did, and that the music would still last and still sound as fresh today as it was back then?
I had no idea about any of that stuff. We were just making some music, doing some teaching, and I think it's nice that our music in a way hasn't really dated over the years. It's kind of just what it is, it still is what it is even today, so people respond to it still, which is really great. It's awesome.
Well, people are going to respond because as we speak tonight, you're the band is performing at Yonge Dundas Square for Chevrolet Indie Fridays with Fugitive. I got to ask you, how does it feel being part of something like this, especially long weekend? We are talking about Toronto Caribbean Carnival kicking off too. I mean, this is going to be a great weekend, and a great way to kick it off is you guys performing.
Well, I think it's going to be a great weekend, definitely. And, the city's just jammed with people from all over. I can see them all around. I was just dropping my daughter off at Harbourfront. There's so many tourists and so on in town for the Caravana, which is really great. Oh, Caribbean Festival, I guess we call it these days. But well, again, Fugitive is a band with some horns in it, and, they're doing some classic songs. And there's a young fellow named Rod Lyon who's coming up to do some tunes. And we're going to pull out some of our classics, but we've been working on some different stuff too. So, we play some new songs.
You guys are still performing because Orbit Room is like a home for you guys, and you guys have performed a couple of times too with Fugitive.
We did a great show at the Horseshoe with them, a nice double bill, and it was a nice little sort of Queen Street refresher in a way, because they used to play the bamboo as we did as well in the bad old days, and it was nice to get that vibe going. Everybody mixed in, mingling,
I want to ask, though, how this all started, because I know for myself, and I've been lucky enough to interview you several times in the past, too, but I remember growing up, okay? I remember shows like Toronto Rocks, and when Much Music was Much Music, and I remember flipping on the TV, and, I would see the videos like, Give Me Some Kind of Sign by the Sattalites, and it always brought a warm feeling for me, What was it like for you guys getting together and developing that sound and creating that kind of Caribbean sound that came from Toronto?
Well, it really started out of the music school, but Joe and I started with a couple other horn players, and that was up in Eglinton. And, we met we had a lot of students, and it was kind of ad hoc. They were learning reggae and maybe a little jazz, maybe learning bass, maybe learning guitar, whatever. And sort of that warm feeling just carried on through. And don't forget, there was a tremendous, you haven't forgotten, I'm sure, there was a tremendous vibe in Toronto at that time. Mm-hmm. A real mixture of things, and Queen Street was buzzing, so there were a lot of bands playing down there. A lot of people knew each other, like all the different, not just the reggae thing, but the whole, scene around Blue Rodeo and those kinds of bands, Rio Statics and all that stuff was all going on. So it was a very musical environment that we were in the middle of, and I think that lent a good feeling to it. And people were people had a good time in those days, as you remember. They didn't even take their phones with them.
So true. And you know what? I always keep saying, I miss the bamboo because, like I said, you guys, Fugitive, Messenger, you guys just knew how to bring such a good vibe, and that's something I want to keep emphasizing on. Yeah. It was a good, fun vibe. You could have had the worst day in your life, and listening to your music or that whole sound just brought a happiness. Awesome. I mean, were you guys aware of that?
Oh yeah, there were a lot of babies and marriages. A lot of babies and marriages came out of our gigs. But one thing we got to remember is Toronto has been a nice. I'm old enough now, so I was a teenager in the 60s and during those Yorkville days. And there was a real mixture of people going on, and a lot of rhythm and blues, and a lot of the American bands, the Black American bands like to play up here because it was a little more relaxed in certain ways, and there was that whole mixture, that mingling went through the 60s and went through the 70s and went through the 80s, and it led to that atmosphere, I think, right? It's a very, very musical place, and as you know, there's great musicians all over the place in Toronto, every style.
Absolutely.
We got that going for us. And also the other thing about Toronto that's different from a lot of places that people don't really realize how lucky we are is that we've got areas where there are a group of clubs together. So you used to be able to go to Queen Street, or you used to be able to go up in the Junction or whatever. Now there's Colley Street, and you can park your car and walk around and see 6 different bands. And the fact is, there's lots of, Los Angeles doesn't have a thing like that. New York used to, but it doesn't really have it anymore. That's a real bonus. So it encourages a kind of musical mingling in a way. The scenes don't mingle as much as they used to. That's my feeling, but it's hard to know. I think we'll get a really diverse crowd out tonight. Those people who love music.
Just give me some kind of sign, girl. Oh, my baby, show me that you're mine, girl. All right, just give me some kind of sign, girl. Oh, my darling, show me that you're mine, girl. All right.
Absolutely. Look, you guys have had some pretty great honors. Let's talk about one of the best, Sunsplash. Correct me if I'm wrong. Only Canadian band to be asked to perform there?
I'm not sure about that, but certainly it's a rarity. I'm not sure if Messenger went and played Sunsplash. I'm not sure about that, but we definitely, when we did it, it was kind of a breakthrough kind of thing. And of course, it was a wonderful scene to be in, and the Jamaican-born members of the band felt especially proud that they were there doing that. But for me, the highlight of playing in Jamaica was playing at the Ward Theatre in 1987, and that was the 100th anniversary of the Alpha Boys School. So I went down with JoJo, and there were all the old boys from all the different generations from Alpha, which, led, some of the greatest Jamaican musicians. And that was in the middle of the 80s, so, some people have passed on, unfortunately, but in those days there were lots of guys around, and, they had a dance hall night, they had a jazz night, they had a reggae night. Like it was richness, and to be with those musicians in that scene, and of course Jojo got his training in Alpha, and those bonds stay really strong. So that to me is a personal highlight, playing in Jamaica. And, Jojo got a tailor to make him up a school uniform with short pants and everything, and he put it on backstage, and he came out. We opened with some ska stuff, and then he came out strutting with his horn held high playing, and honestly, to see the nuns falling apart laughing, that was one of the great moments anyway. It was awesome. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What about winning your first Juno Award? What was that like?
Well, that was pretty awesome as well, because, we kind of, there was a whole network of bands that were before us, that, were part of that whole scene and laid that foundation, right? So when we got the Juno, it was really kind of a recognition from the industry that scene even existed, because before that, people didn't take it very seriously. Canada's not a big country, in numbers, so record sales were small, so all of that stuff contributed. So for us for them to even have that in the Junos and for us to win one was kind of a nice validation of that, but it was kind of built on the back of all those other bands, that used to play at Cuddy's Hideaway and all the West Indian Federation Club, and like Chalawa and all those bands. Truth and Rights, I think, formed before we did. They weren't a mixed band in the same way, but they're all Canadian guys, kind of making a new sound. So it was a nice validation for us, and we're just having fun though, really, basically.
How did you guys, how did you survive during the changes in the 90s when it was boy bands and grunge? The sound of the 80s and that creativity wasn't there as much as it was back then to when things were changing up. How did you guys adapt and to still be able to perform and to get out there? I mean, was it a tough time?
In a sense, you know, I don't have to tell you how much the business has changed as far as in all aspects, right? But the live scene is a little bit different, and people wanted a different kind of thing. And one thing I've sort of noticed is that there used to be a little more variety on bills. Like people could go and the same audience could enjoy like three different kinds of music equally, right? But now I find the audiences are a little more divided up. Like the people who like X kind of music don't really listen to much else other than that. So, I mean, I'm making generalizations. Human beings still love music. So we managed to, we just kept playing, and we made a few records in there, some nice ones, and just kind of carried on.
Is there new music in the future with the Sattalites?
Well, you know, I'm making some new music. I've got a new single out, you know, and I should send it to you because it just came out now. And it's kind of it's about actually Preacher, one of the fellows in the band, passed away, and blah blah blah. So I'm not sure whether we'll make some new music, but we're still playing and I'm writing new songs. So you know, who knows what will happen. And Neville is down in Buffalo, but he's going to be coming up. He won't be here tomorrow night, but he comes up fairly often. So we're working on some new things. Definitely.
Absolutely. Look, before we go, if there is one thing that you always want fans to remember the Sattalites for, what would it be?
Well, you know, we just want to. It's music for us, right? It's always been music for us. So I'd love people to remember that. Listen to the music, you know, as the Doobie Brothers might say.
Love it. Look, my friend, looking forward to seeing you tonight. Looking forward to hearing the, you know, just. I'm just looking forward to coming back, man, and listening to the sound that really helped shape and define an era in Toronto music, man. Thank you so much for the interview.
That's good of you to say that, Rudy, and I appreciate you chatting with you after all this time. It's great. Great linking up.
Always, my friend. See you tonight.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.